Hello, I'm Jeff and welcome to Brimwood Farm. I don't know about you, but sometimes I look at the garden and the fried flowers and the pigeon-eaten brassicas and the salad leaves that have been attacked by pests. And I just think, what is the point? And if there's one thing that I have learned over the past 3 years setting up this market garden in sunny Suffolk, is that perseverance is the key. But even with perseverance, sometimes you just look at crops and you just go, why? Why this year? I thought I had cracked that crop, and then this year it's all gone a bit wrong. So as an example, let's take a look at my garlic. This year rust has been awful, and as you can see, most of the bed is now very, very yellow. It shouldn't be that way. It should be lovely and green, and at the tops of these garlic plants we should have some lovely garlic scapes. And garlic scapes are the edible flower part of the garlic, and you harvest them before they pop out of the bud. But everything's yellow and we've had no garlic scapes, and this is the first year I've actually ever had rust. And I've been coming down to the bed every few days just to check the base of each plant, and as long as the base has been green, which signals that the rust hasn't moved into the bulb, I've been leaving the plants on. And I harvested a couple of garlic this past weekend for my CSA box, and actually, though on the surface they look duds, I've got some really good crop, so I thought we would have a little lift and a look. So the reason I haven't actually lifted my garlic yet is because the bulbs were tiny and I wanted to give them as long as possible to bulk up, even though the rust had appeared. And it seems that my chancing it may have worked. So when it comes to harvesting my garlic, I'm not pulling everything up immediately because I'm still waiting for some bulbs and some cloves to get bigger. But you can see that these are the two that I'm about to pull up, and we'll clean them up and see how they look. So when they come out of the ground, they look like that. They don't look great. They're not massive. I've grown bigger. And when you look at the plant itself, it looks very rough and not very attractive. But let's give them a clean up. So let's first take off the top, and then we'll take off But then suddenly, from what you thought was a really useless bed of garlic, you have something that's decent. And that to me is extremely heartening. And one of the things I'm starting to realise is that regardless of how many hours you put in, where you're growing, whether you're doing it on a farm scale or allotment scale or a backdoor raised bed or pot scale, things are never going to get perfect. And you would think that would be obvious, but actually I think it's in us all to want it all to go fantastically well. And then when disaster strikes, so you get an attack of aphids or rust, or in my case the sheep get in overnight and eat a load of lettuces, it's very quick to just make you feel a bit crap. And so the garlic is a great example, but so too are the lettuces, which my sheep are hugely keen on eating. Now this is my lettuce head bed, and I have separate beds where I'm harvesting for salad bags and where I want to grow on the lettuces as big lettuce heads to sell. And very annoyingly, the sheep got in, and they love to eat head lettuce. They come along and they munch the tops. And I have to say, I was really angry, and then I was really sort of depressed about it, and I did just think, oh, to hell with it, I'm just going to pull out all of the plants and I'm going to start all over again. And thank goodness I didn't. I had a little bit in me that went, hang on, you know, when you take the head lettuce, it normally grows more from the base. And so now I don't have a lettuce head bed, but I have another salad bag picking bed. Because where the sheep have all chomped off, we've got new stems coming out of the lettuce. They're smaller stems, smaller leaves, perfect for salad bags. So you can see here, this is the bed, and I've yet to weed this bed this week. And these are another succession of lettuces that I've put in since the sheep came in. And you can see that these lettuces are lovely and the middle hasn't been eaten out. But if we move a little bit further up the bed, you can see this is one of the lettuces where the sheep have come along and chomped out the middle. But if you leave them in the ground, they will send up all of these other little side shoots. And these side shoots obviously are never going to turn into head lettuce, but what you can do then is harvest these and strip the leaves off and put them in salad bags. And so at the time, did I think it was a disaster? Yeah, of course I did. I was really, really miserable. I couldn't believe what had happened and how stupid I was and how annoying the sheep were. But actually, I've managed to spin it in a positive light, and now I have lots and lots of salad bag lettuce. And luckily I had also sown a load more lettuces, so not only have I got these ones that are protected and haven't been nibbled, but over here I have another, this is a 4-row wide of red lettuce, and then because the sheep seem to like green lettuce as much, I have protected the green lettuce a little bit in here. And then I have my normal salad bag lettuce here, and these are the ones where I come along and I strip off the lower leaves. So you can see this was stripped this week. So you just pull off these leaves at the bottom and gradually you get sort of little lettuce towers. And then that can go in a salad bag. And then I think it was in the last video I talked about the disaster with the flea beetle and how they've been attacking my salad crops. And they also seem to like attacking some of the root crops and the leaves, like my purple top Milan and snowball turnip. So when you look at the bed itself and you look at the leaves, you just think, oh man, this is a disaster. Like, what's ever going to happen to this? This is never going to give anything. But because it's a root crop, doesn't matter really if the leaves are a disaster, because beneath, and these actually are the size that need to start being pulled out, but look, there are some nice turnips starting to grow. Everything is slightly on the back foot this year because of the terrible weather, and obviously, as I said many times before, it's been an uphill battle. And it has been a bit depressing at points, but actually I'm trying to flip it and find the positives. The other thing that's really starting to finally come on are the courgettes. Again, they're massively behind where they should be, but we're finally starting. Here is our first patty pan of the season, which is exciting. And then the courgette, look, finally, I mean, this is almost, that's about picking size. It needs maybe an inch more, which will be a couple of days, if that. But we're finally starting to see, this one's fallen off. This one's fallen off. But there's one. There's one there. That's actually, that needs to be cut really. I do finally feel like things are starting to get going. While I think of it, one thing I do want your advice on, if any of you know, is my aubergine plants. So my peppers have been flowering and those flowers have been pollinated, and I'm starting to get the first tiny little sweet peppers. The same with the tomatoes. The aubergines have also been flowering, but they don't seem to be getting pollinated. What I'm wondering is, because the flowers on the aubergines are quite low down and hidden, do we think the plants are too small and the flowers are too low to the ground that pollinators aren't finding them? And if so, obviously I probably need to self-pollinate them with a little brush. But if anybody's got any advice of what to do, how to help the pollination, whether to, I don't know, cut leaves back around the flowers to make them more exposed, I would be grateful for any suggestions or tips that you might have. One thing I wanted to show you, just outside the polytunnel, you'll remember that I put in the phallic shaped pond. But if we come down here, and I'm going to try and get it on camera, it's quite difficult. Do you see that there? That's a baby newt. A tiny little baby newt, and there are quite a lot in here, which is super exciting. Actually, there's another one here. There we go, can you see it? And there's his little gills. And I'm really pleased by that, because the entire point of that pond outside the polytunnel was that amphibians would live in there, and then they would go into the polytunnel and help eradicate the pests. and the bugs. And it's happening, and not only have newts moved in, but they've obviously had babies. So they obviously like that spot. Now I know this is mostly a vegetable and growing video, but if you will indulge me, I just want to give you a few updates on the farm animals, because quite a lot has happened and quite a lot is to come. So Hyacinth has now moved into the farrowing pen because she is only 2 weeks away from her second litter of the year. They're due the first week of August. She's really putting on some weight now, and probably in the next, I would say, the week to 10 days, her milk will start to come in. So more piglets are due. The 9 Muscovy ducklings are doing really well and growing up. There's going to be all sorts of colours. I particularly like these 2 chocolatey ones. However, Rowena, who was on a second clutch of eggs, seems to have abandoned them. She has, the last few days, she has been sitting on it, but really not a lot. So whether it's too warm, and so she's leaving them, or whether she's just decided they're not hatching, or I'm not going to hatch them, I don't know. But she seems to have given up. But we still got those 9 lovely little ones. And then I have to give you a Horace update. So he's had his surgery. His eye has been removed. He's doing really, really well. He's still in the house. He's only just had his cone off, so he's still living indoors. But he's turned into the sweetest of cats, haven't you, bud? So a massive thank you to all of you who shouted out his GoFundMe page, who donated, and who basically saved this guy's life, because I could not afford to get the surgery done, which would have meant he would have had to be put to sleep, because he couldn't have just gone around with a gammy eye. And now he gets to live out on the farm, hopefully happy as Larry. Although not quite yet, because you're not quite well enough to go and discover all the farm life again, are you? And I don't know if he's too keen to. He seems to like, as you can see, he seems to like the being a pet rather than a farm cat. Okay. And do you like being a farm dog? Do you? So yes, I do. So there's lots going on, and I kind of have to remind myself every year that I think we always think as gardeners that as soon as we start sowing those seeds in March, April time, that the flush of summer and June and July bring all the vegetables, but actually often it's the case that it's actually August, September, October, harvest time, for example, when we get all those veg. So every year I have to kind of reset my brain, my gardening brain clock in some ways, just to allow myself to breathe a little bit more and go, you've still got many months of the garden left. So you've had fails, but actually, like the garlic, they're not fails, they've done fine, they just don't look great to start with. And also there are many, many months still to come.